welcome to the SVG-TV news for Friday, February 19th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. SVG's COVID-19 vaccination campaign started 6 days ago, and to date, just more than 200 Vincentians have been vaccinated. Health Promotions Officer Shanika John said that health workers have also taken the jab, but are not included on the list of 200-plus persons who have taken the vaccine.
Some Vincentians have been very overwhelming. We have to date vaccinated over 200 and something persons, and that does not include our healthcare workers. That number is still ongoing because we do have our different facilities that are getting, our healthcare workers are getting vaccinated at those various points, and we expect that as early as next week we could give a full report in terms of the actual numbers.
John said that persons continue to request to be vaccinated via email and that they have seen interest from families and other groups of persons who want to be vaccinated together. John, however, admitted that the vaccination process is taking longer than expected, mainly due to the protocols for indoor gatherings of 10 persons.
Because of the nature in which we are right now in the COVID-19 pandemic, we are still keeping our mask gathering protocols. And so we're scheduling persons by the hour. And ideally, we'd like to keep it around 10 persons per hour. And so that is part of the reason why it may seem as if, we're moving a bit slow with it. But we really want to just be mindful of what's happening around and try not to have a number of gathering at different sites as well.
The Health Promotions Officer said that persons interested in taking the vaccine must be 18 years and over, and priority will be given to persons with pre-existing conditions.
So by health facility, members of our healthcare providers will have a list of persons as well. We are also looking at the emails of persons who registered, and we kind of group persons under various categories. And then after there are also those persons who don't have email address or access to one, and so they can go directly to their nearest health facility, and that information is also reported back to us. I know at this particular point, some persons may tend to say or feel as if we're not targeting, quote-unquote, the ordinary people or people with pre-existing condition. And like I would always say, how does someone with HIV look? How does someone with diabetes or hypertension look? And so with that in mind, I want persons to take into consideration that pre-existing conditions could fall anywhere between ages 18 and older. So that is what we're working with in terms of the pre-existing conditions, and we also have some of our educators involved in this as well.
SVG received 5,000 AstraZeneca vaccines, which would cover 2,500 Vincentians. At a news conference earlier this week, Minister of Health Sinclair Prince said that 2,000 of the vaccines would be for healthcare workers. However, some healthcare workers have reportedly been reluctant to take the vaccines, which is not mandatory. The Health Promotions Officer said that they have been conducting information sessions with the healthcare workers as part of the campaign to get them on board.
What I can tell you from the Ministry of Health perspective is that we have done a series of health education sessions, and this is not specifically designed to sort of convince our healthcare workers to take vaccines. This is part of our public awareness and education session. And so we felt it fit to also allocate those to our healthcare providers across the various spectrum. It's not specific to nurses, doctors. And we have been doing this on a weekly basis for about 3 or 4 weeks. Every Thursday we will normally have a session. And then we will have smaller sessions with smaller groups and smaller different sectors. So it is something that is ongoing. It is still a personal choice. It's not a mandatory requirement. And so at this time, we really want to encourage persons to, one, respect people's opinion, and two, try not to generalize an individual opinion for everyone else.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines has registered 20 new COVID-19 cases from tests done between January 19th and February 17th. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said the results of 19 positive rapid antigen tests done between January 19th and February 14th at a flu clinic were submitted yesterday. NEMO said one new positive PCR result was recorded for February 17th, bringing that day's total to 6 new COVID-19 cases. The positivity rate for that date is now 3.5%. 22 persons were cleared, bringing the total number of recoveries to 758. 730 cases remain active, and 6 persons with COVID-19 have died. 1,494 cases of COVID-19 has been reported in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. The public is reminded to wear facial coverings, physically distance, sanitize hands, and vaccinate to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The government of SVG has noted with concern Carnival activities which were recently held in neighboring Martinique, which could result in a spike in COVID-19 cases in the French territory and here in SVG. With this in mind, SVG's border control will be strengthened to stop any entry of COVID-19 positive persons. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who was speaking at a virtual consultation on Budget 2021 hosted last evening by the Chamber of Industry and Commerce.
Where there were 2 days of Carnival, where there was a jump up, and you saw there was real fete in the streets. And if you have a spike in Martinique, you're going to have a spike coming in St. Lucia, because people are going to get in from Martinique for the spike in St. Lucia, which means that we have to strengthen our border control on the northeast and the northwest, where there's a tradition of people from St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, both from the Chateaubriand side and also from the Oya fancy side, moving with one another, and it's so easy for contact to be made and for COVID to be spread. So we have to watch that. That's an additional trouble spot.
Also speaking at the virtual consultation, Minister of Finance Camilo Gonsalves said that government will be enacting legislations that cater to the needs of the business community in an effort to further develop the economy in a more business-friendly environment. Minister Gonsalves said that they will also be working closely with the private sector as they understand the important role the sector plays in the economy.
Through Invest SVG to examine legislative changes and structural changes to the way in which the government interacts with the private sector. And we're very optimistic that we will remove some of the hurdles that typically add time and money to your own business development.
The finance minister also spoke on a facelift of Kingstown, which he said will hopefully boost the physical environment of businesses in the capital.
You'll see tangible results fairly early in the year on that front. We have completed spaces to which we will move some vendors, and we have some other plans to make Kingstown more attractive, easier to travel through on foot, and more structured to the extent that we can do that.
Last year, government announced a loan moratorium for individuals and businesses to help ease the economic burden during the pandemic. And last evening, during the consultation, Executive Director of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Anthony Regisford, asked what is in place for the private sector during this period, to which the finance minister said the loan moratorium will continue in 2021 until at least the third quarter, which ends in September.
We have negotiated through the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to continue extending the loan moratoria, the moratorium that many businesses have taken advantage of last year. With that moratorium continues until at least the beginning of the third quarter of this year. At peak, over 2,500 businesses, businesses and individuals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines took advantage of loan moratoria for loans totaling over $410 million.
Minister Gonsalves said that this year there has been a reduced number of persons taking advantage of the moratorium, noting that in addition to this and other support, there is the unemployment benefits, which is ongoing.
Now we're currently down to about 1,600 businesses and individuals utilizing the moratorium, but that is a lever that continues to exist for businesses that are feeling a cash crunch in this time of COVID. We have also extended, at least through the end of this quarter, the income supports for displaced or underemployed persons, either in the hospitality sector or in the otherwise formally employed sector.
A plume of Saharan dust is approaching St. Vincent and the Grenadines and is expected to affect Vincentians from tomorrow and is likely to intensify early Sunday. The meteorological services at the Argyle International Airport said once the Saharan dust arrives in SVG, it will have plume particle matters in high concentrations exceeding the accepted health level, according to the Air Quality Index chart. In light of this, SVG will be placed at an orange level, a level that is unhealthy for sensitive groups. The Ministry of Health is therefore advising the general public that particles contained within the Saharan dust could cause a dry cough, sore throat, itchy, watery eyes, sneezing, and runny nose. The Saharan dust could also severely affect persons with respiratory illnesses such as asthma and persons with pre-existing conditions. The elderly and children are also vulnerable at this time. Persons with respiratory issues and allergies are asked to keep with them at all times any and all medications, including asthma inhalers, in case of an emergency. Persons are also asked to limit their exposure to the Saharan dust by staying indoors when possible or wearing a dust mask if they must go outdoors. Affected persons should seek medical attention at their nearest healthcare facility if they experience severe symptoms as a result of the increasing levels of Saharan dust. Omnibus operators plying the Georgetown route continue to withdraw their service from the traveling public as they await a response from the government following a Zoom meeting this week between executives of the Vincentian Transportation Association, Vintas, and Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Speaking with SVG-TV News at the Windward Bus Terminal today, spokesperson for the Georgetown to Kingstown Omnibus operators, Kentish Thompson, said the response from the government will determine whether the operators resume their service, noting that while they appreciate the $500 subsidy promised by the government, it is not enough, and they would like an increase in the passenger capacity to at least up to 12.
Well, we are waiting on the outcome from the government, so we decided that we're still going to withdraw service. So as soon as he replies to Vintas and we hear the proposal that he is given to Vintas, we'll know what we're going to do from here, whether we're going to continue to withdraw service or if we're going to go back to work on Monday. Well, we're hoping that the Ministry of Health can, give the okay and that the numbers that we're asking for, we can go to that. And once we get that, we'll be okay. We are willing to work with that because by the end of the day, we're working with 12 passengers. Everybody's going to go home with a bread to eat, and we're all going to get to go where we want to go and do our business as usual. The $500, it only goes a little bit away, can't go, and if that is the case, we'll continue to withdraw service.
According to Thompson, 80% of omnibus operators have chosen not to operate, with many staying at home as the current passenger capacity reduces the earnings of operators by 61%. He said in order to keep the public safe and maintain a livelihood for omnibus operators, an additional proposal has been drafted with the PRO and General Secretary of Vintas. This new proposal includes a sanitization station and comfort station at Georgetown.
Working with 7 passengers is at the last. By the end of the day, I'm not going to get paid. The owner's not going to get any money, drivers not going to get any money. So we're asking if we get a station up in Georgetown, where there's a sanitizing station, so we can sanitize in Georgetown as well. Because we're looking out for the interest of the public during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're asking for that. That is going to help to curb the spread of the COVID, because we're going to be sanitizing town and we're going to be sanitized up in Georgetown. So it's going to be much easier on the traveling public. And we're asking for a comfort station in Georgetown so at least people can ease themselves and they can get their hands sanitized before entering a minibus and get to where they want to go. We will sanitize every trip, because usually every time we come down here, we come and we sanitize. And when you sanitize, remember there's a piece of card to show that you're sanitized. On Wednesday, we met with the Secretary and the PRO, and we drafted up a few proposals, and that was one of the proposals that we've been asking for since we withdrew service last week.
Thompson also added that since withdrawing their service, the omnibus operators have noticed that officers are no longer enforcing the 7-passenger capacity.
Is that now that we have withdrawn our service, the police officers, they are not on the road as they were when we were there providing our service. And we've seen so far every day, the vans that are working now, they are coming out full. police are not stopping them, not taking out anyone. But when everyone is out there walking, the police are coming out and they're harassing us and taking people out of the bus and they're going to give a ticket. But now that less minibus are working, they are not enforcing it. They are seeing them, they are standing there and they're seeing the vans pass full and they're not doing anything about it.
Vintus should have received a response from the government today in relation to the subsidy and whether there will be any changes to the passenger capacity. Efforts to reach the Vintus president proved futile. Meanwhile, after receiving several complaints from disgruntled omnibus drivers that there are colleagues not participating in the strike action, are overpacking their vehicles and not being ticketed or made to offload the excess passengers, SVG-TV News spoke with the head of the traffic department, Superintendent Kenneth John, who responded to these claims and outlined how his department has been ensuring the 7-passenger capacity for omnibuses is maintained. Superintendent John said officers have been patrolling the length and breadth of the island, starting as early as 5 or 6 a.m. until nightfall, working in relief teams. He, however, noted that without the requisite ticketing books, they can only warn operators and ensure that conductors or drivers offload any excess passengers.
The officer doesn't have the authority to offload the van. According to the law, the conductor, because once the van has the excess passengers, the officer will go to the conductor has the authority. The conductor should be the one to offload the van. In the absence of the conductor, the driver. But these vans cannot proceed unless those excess passengers is being offloaded.
Superintendent John appealed to commuters to be mindful of vans taking bypass roads to avoid police interaction, as they could be left stranded.
What we are doing now, we are spreading our officers, because what can happen, you can be stopped at Casson Hill, and as you get to Villa, you can be stopped again. When you get to Kelakwa, you can be stopped. When you get to Ratamill, you can be stopped. What we are observing now, that these vans are using the by roads, right? And we are calling on the passengers not to allow these vans to take them into any by roads, because the officers would be in those said by roads. And once the officer stopped you in these by roads, you have to eject the excess passengers, and they will have to find their way back on the main.
Superintendent John said preliminary reports indicate that some omnibus operators are indeed exceeding the current 7-passenger limit by 2 to 4 passengers, and his officers are ready and waiting for ticket books to fully enforce the Public Health Act. Responding to claims by some omnibus operators that officers continue to target specific drivers, including the momentary patrolling of the Windward bus terminal this afternoon after a number of omnibuses from Georgetown entered the terminal, Superintendent John says this is not so, as officers were simply responding to a report of a disruption.
Reports that there are several Georgetown vans that went into the terminal and was disrupting the activities in the bus terminal by preventing other vehicles from proceeding, and officers were sent there to address the situation. And I am not going to be the head of traffic department and allow nobody to disrupt what happened on the roads.
Members of the traveling public are encouraged to continue to report any instances of overpacking omnibuses for operators to be held accountable. At the time of our interview, Superintendent John revealed that 3 omnibus operators were in custody for non-compliance of the 7-person capacity, and they would not be dealt with lightly. The Public Health Act 2021 came into effect on February 5th, 2021. As students and teachers across the country continue to engage in e-learning with the closure of schools due to COVID-19, the process is said to have gotten more comfortable for a number of teachers who at first were struggling to adapt to online teaching. At the Gomez Methodist School, some of the teachers gave a positive review of their experience with online teaching using the Microsoft Teams platform. Grade 2 teacher Suzanne King and Grade 4 teacher Valerie Byron told SVG-TV News that they enjoy using the online platform and are now able to provide more exciting lessons for their students so as to keep them engaged.
Online class has been going really good for me. I really love this Microsoft Teams that we're doing. I'm really excited. Thanks to my son Noah Ledlow. He is the one who showed me how to do certain things on the tablet. We really enjoy our class. We have videos. I will upload videos for them to see. And then they will do worksheets, right, as a whole class, just like as we are in class at school, right? We will do our worksheets, and I will ask individual students to answer, and then they will do work on their own.
Your children get to learn a new way of learning. It's a new technique, a new development in society. So children get to learn this aspect of what is going on around the world. So some of them are very eager to be on, to see this new way of learning. Whereas in the classroom now, it's a more monotonous job where it's the same thing going on and on every day, and sometimes the children get frustrated sometimes.
The teachers, however, noted that while online teaching is good, it also has its disadvantages, noting that unlike the classroom setting, it poses a major challenge to monitor the students' activities.
It's a very tedious job. It's more complicated than in actual being in the classroom, because in the classroom you get to meet and see all the children, whereas with this online teaching, you find some of the children are not on because they don't have a device or they don't have the internet connection. And in the classroom, you have them come in regularly every day at school, and you have a better chance to manage them and supervise them. Whereas in the online teaching, most of them are not. If they're on, they drop off from time to time, and you can't get to monitor them as you ought to.
Basically, for my class, I have 16 students, right? The majority is on. Those that do not come on, it's because of no device, right? Or no internet. Some students are not coming on, so I'm feeling really bad for those who don't have a device or internet, right? So I'm hoping that their parents would be able to buy a device.
King took time out to demonstrate how she usually conducts her teaching.
The worksheet will show up, and then I will start marking, right? So you click on the pen there, and I will start marking. So this is what I really love. I'm able to mark the work. Now when I'm finished, right, I will click that tick, and I will screenshot it, right? Then I will send it back to them. So you will put your feedback. It says feedback, so you will put very good. So you type very good, right? And then you return, right? When I'm finished returning that, press close, and then you go back in to where you have teams, right? Where you have your students, manage members. So I will look for Nyla. Here is Nyla, so I will click on Nyla. I will send her work for her to see. So I will upload it from the gallery, right? And touch, and there I will send a note, say good job, right? And you click, and there her work has been uploaded. So
Meanwhile, the principal of the Gombe Methodist School, Sheridan Edwards, said that she would like to see 100% of her students participate in online classes. Edwards said that this, however, might not be achievable, since some children have to share devices with their siblings, and there are others without a device and internet, and some who are just delinquent.
There are some drawbacks that we are having. We have not seen 100% attendance in the classes. I think we would have seen it at least a few times for the grade 5 at one time. But this is a problem we are having where the children are not coming in. All the children are not coming into the class setting. Like what we would see at school, all the children coming to class. We are seeing that even in grade 5 and 6, where the children have devices from the Ministry of Education, we have 2 children in particular in the grade 6, we have to be calling the parents because we are not seeing them all the time. And the grade 5, we are seeing more children attending, but we have not seen a 100%. There are various reasons why this is happening.
Edwards said the teachers of the Gomez Methodist School are better equipped to handle the online teaching platform and have been doing well.
For this school year, we are better prepared in reference to the online teaching. We have been trained by the Ministry of Education for the platform that is recommended by them, Microsoft Teams. And 2 of our teachers were trained, and they came and trained the rest of the staff. So we are really much better prepared for this online teaching. So we have been on the platform, all of our classes, and the teachers are really excited about this. And they are really working hard. I'm telling you, the teachers are really putting in the effort to make learning fun.
The principal thanked parents for cooperating with the teachers during these difficult times and asked that they continue to monitor their children's online classes daily.
The children charge their devices before you leave home. Ensure that you wake them up so that they can come to class early, because we are facing a lot of problems where children are coming into the class, but they are coming in when the class is almost finished, or they're coming in halfway in the middle of the class. So all these things you have to put in place, parents, because in order for us to get this work, you have to play your part at home. So I think I'm just asking the parents, do the preparation work before you go from home, and then maybe you can do periodically checks on your children. Call them, are you in class? You know, just to make sure. And if you can have somebody like who can check on them, maybe a motherly neighbor, to ensure, because children would be children. They would not want to be in front of the device